Well, to further discuss the ongoing conflict, we're joined live now by diplomatic analyst Idan Ronen. Idan, thanks a lot for joining us on the program. The first question I have for you is basically, well, obviously neither side seems willing to put an end to what the UN Secretary General has now called a spiraling escalation. What do you think Israel should do next?
Just before what should Israel do next, I just have to correct you for the previous report you have mentioned. You have mentioned that Palestinians were evicted from Sheikh Jarrah. This is a misleading report. What was the reality was the settlements won legal lawsuit, that the same legal lawsuits in the Supreme Court, that is the same Israeli Supreme Court that the Palestinians use to launch their file their lawsuits in random other cases. But in that case, those settlers had the rights and the proper real estate rights. Now, in any chance, these are only real estate conflicts. They happen every time and then. What there was some reality which was preceding that some 2 weeks ago. Let me hold you please in full frame mode. I want you please to take a very close, good look at that. Palestinians, just like that, for the fun and leisure, they just keep slapping Jews. That is here in the metro in Jerusalem, and that is here where in Jaffa, that is Israel proper. That is just south of Tel Aviv. They hit an old rabbi. This is just unbelievable, just like 7th century throwbacks. And I'm sorry, and I do say 7th century throwbacks, because those sort of throwbacks are the ones who always keep saying that they don't care for life. All they care is death. Check out this Palestinian mother, how she encourages every Palestinian mother to sacrifice her children.
Okay, Idan. Okay, those are some convincing pictures there. But I mean, we can go back. Can you seriously say that Israel gives a justifiable force back to what Hamas is doing in Palestine? Because we could go back to 2014, Operation Protective Edge, in which over 2,000 Palestinians were killed, and not even 100 Israelis had lost their lives.
Oh, so you're taking me into the disproportionate thing. Well, let me tell you something about the disproportionality thing. This whole disproportionality here is downright anti-Semitism, and let me please stress this one thing. I never, ever pick the anti-Semite card just like that. I will use this platform of saying out loud, any Israeli or Jew or pro-Israeli who just picks up the anti-Semite card, I consider him as a coward. I think it is more anti-Israel rather than anti-Semite. But saying that, when you're using the disproportionality card, anti-Semitism in plain modern terms pretty much is defined as Jew-only standards. I challenge you, sir. I challenge anybody.
This doesn't have to do with anti-Semitism. This has to do with disproportionate force.
Conflict where the term disproportionality is picked up and thrown up to the open air just like that. And besides, even in real life, even if there's a burglar who robs the bank, would you imagine only a single police car chasing him? What do you mean disproportionality here? What do you thought?
It's not about a single police car. It's about him and his entire family being killed. Do you think that would be fair for a bank robber, or would it be fair to adhere to the proper laws that are in place?
Excuse me, sir. Winston Churchill have wiped out 30,000, 40,000 innocent Dresdeners. Men, women, and children there. They had nothing to do with the Nazi soldiers. Would you consider Winston Churchill as a war criminal?
Okay, well, we can move on to a different sphere right now. I wanted to talk a little bit about what you said about the legality of the evictions in East Jerusalem and the legality of settlements in Israel, because I can cite you right here. Of course, what you're saying is true about the Israeli courts, but according to the United Nations Security Council Resolution 2334, settlements are, quote, a vagrant violation of international law and have no legal validity. So do you think that Israel has the right to evict people under the auspices of something that the international community has ruled illegal?
Okay, then let's split up the issues here. As for the United Nations, that is the same United Nations which have appointed Syria and Libya and Yemen representatives to chair the Human Rights Councils. So with all due respect, I'm not sure that using the United Nations terminology would make any more respect for those who claim those. I'm sorry to tell you this, but if only the world would be held into what the United Nations would decide, which is a totally biased organization, it is absolutely 100% politicized, then I think it's basically, it is just disrespect. I'm purely saying that. I don't even have to be Israeli to mention that.
Okay, Don. But
as for your question, hang on. As for the other question you're saying, you're talking to me about the legality of what Israel has done. Well, if I only consider your question correct, I think you're talking about what was taken in this Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood. I absolutely believe so, as I just told you that in the outset. Why? Because that is the same Israeli Supreme Court that the same East Jerusalem Palestinians often used to go there and file their lawsuits. So what do we have in here? Whenever they lose in their lawsuits, they start to riot like violent throwbacks and disrespect, like sore losers who cannot respect and accept decisions made out by the same Supreme Court every Mondays and every time and then they go to. Then in that case, I think, sir, yes. This Supreme Court
Don,
in Israel,
sorry, we just don't have any more time. I would give you more time, but we heard your point of view, and thank you very much for coming on the program. Everyone, Idan Ronen, diplomatic analyst, thanks for joining us.